Hello, glad to see you on my channel. I really value it. And today I want to share with you a wonderful story. It's a dramatic story that will come as a total shock to everybody. It is a really amazing story. So enjoy watching it.
Naomi has always loved to dream. Since childhood, the girl grew up a very gentle nature. She had a wonderful character, and almost always she was hovering somewhere in the clouds. Naomi saw what kind of family she had and wanted to have everything the same. Her beloved husband, her children. "Mom, I'm going to the library," she often said. And indeed, she would go to the library, pick up some women's novel, sit and read it right there. "Daughter, don't you want to go to the movies?" her mother would ask her on weekends. Of course, Naomi liked it very much when she and her mother went out, watched a movie, and then discussed it. If the movie was about love, often, both woman and girl cried, even if there was a happy ending. "Naomi, what do you want to be?" her mother asked her when she was already in high school. "I love children and I want to spend my life with them," she said. "That's wonderful." Her mom approved of her choice. The girl was exemplary. She almost never went out, only sometimes with girls at discos, which were held at school or so, in the yard to sit and chat at the table. There were 4 friends: Naomi, Natalie, Casey, and Nancy. Nobody singled anyone out. They all talked the same way. "Hi." They came by to pick up Naomi one night. "I probably won't go out tonight," Naomi told them, because she wanted to spend the evening with her mom. She said there was a movie on TV that she'd been wanting to see for a long time. "Come on, let's go. You'll have time to watch it." The girls kept up with her. "Okay, I guess Mom won't be offended." She went to change. Of course, Mom wasn't offended. She understood that the girls are young. They want to go out. When else will they have such an age? And now, when there was only a little bit left till the end of school, it was necessary to give her daughter some freedom. "Well, are we going to the disco right away?" Nancy asked everyone. "Where else would you like to go?" Naomi turned to her. "Don't you know that there is a new cafe in our town where there are different desserts and ice cream? We can go there." Looked at her friend's watch. "Sure, let's go. I haven't been there," Naomi said, and thought to herself that her mother usually found out that there was something new in town, and they went there. The girls came to the cafe, sat down at a table, ordered ice cream, sat enjoying the cold dessert. At this moment, no one even thought how their lives would turn out, what would happen. But for Naomi, this day was fateful. At some point, the bell above the door jingled. Everyone turned their attention there. A group of guys entered the room. One was tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed. Naomi herself doesn't know why she paid attention to him then, but she really liked the guy. The guys didn't pay any attention to the girls. They walked over, sat down at a table, and began to discuss some topics of their own. Naomi nudged Nancy in the side. "What?" Turned to her. "Where the hell are you?" The girls laughed. "Did you see the guys who just came in?" Naomi pointed to the table where the young men were sitting with her eyes. "And what?" they asked. "That tall one over there." The girl spoke in a half-whisper. "Did you like him?" All the others who sat with Naomi at the table were smiling. Naomi blushed because they had never talked about liking guys before. Maybe they had, but everyone kept quiet. "Oh, Naomi, you're kidding. Is it love at first sight?" Natalie had already finished her ice cream and was waiting for everyone else to do the same. "Why not?" Naomi regretted telling the girls anything. "All right, everybody, and us sitting here staring at the guys, get up and let's go," Nancy ordered. She was the leader of the group. The girls did get up. Naomi didn't want to leave, in case she never saw him again, but staying here alone wasn't an option either. They went out, headed for the House of Culture, where the disco was held. On the way, they talked about some unimportant little things. Naomi was not here. Yes, she was walking next to her friends, but the tall blonde man did not get out of her head. The girls went inside and almost immediately went dancing. And what was Naomi's surprise when the slow dance started, the young man from the cafe came up to her. "Would you like to dance?" he asked her. Yes, she was speechless and everything else because she couldn't believe that this was actually happening. He led her to the center of the room. They started dancing. "My name is Evan," he told her. "I'm Naomi." She wanted to look at him, but she couldn't look up because she was too shy. "I noticed you at the cafe," he told her. "Yeah," she said, and then she was silent. She was ashamed to admit that she had noticed him in the cafe. She danced and thought to herself that it was really fate that they both noticed each other and liked each other at first sight. As soon as the dance was over, the girls came up to Naomi and started asking questions. "Naomi, that's the guy from the cafe," Nancy told her. "And you think I didn't notice that?" She smiled a little. "And what did he tell you? What was his name?" They began to pile questions on the girl. Natalie and Casey stood back. They were very curious too. "I don't know anything yet. We just danced and met. His name is Evan. He told me that he saw me there too." Naomi told them, and she saw that the guy had come downstairs too, standing there looking at them. "Naomi, can I talk to you for a minute?" He came up to them. "Hi," Nancy said to him. "Evan, meet my friends Nancy, Natalie, and Casey," said the girl, and for some reason she blushed again. She didn't realize what was happening to her. It was the first time she had been like this. Naomi began to carry over to herself all the things she had read in women's novels. There she was, so modest, quiet, docile, and he would take her by the hand and lead her through life. That's what she thought as the guy walked her home that evening. "Why haven't I seen you anywhere before?" Evan asked her as they approached her house. "I don't know," she answered. She didn't want to go home. She wanted to spend some more time with him. But she realized that if it was real, if it was true, they would see each other again tomorrow and maybe start talking. "Let's meet tomorrow," as if Evan had read her mind. "Sure, I'm free after school. Come to the courtyard," she told him. They agreed, said goodbye, and the girl went home. "How was the walk?" her mom asked her. "Great." Naomi was shining like a new dollar. "Tell me what happened. What happened? I haven't seen you so happy for a long time." Mom guessed that her daughter had something good. "I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think I fell in love." Clasped my hands in a lock, stood looking at Naomi's mom. Her face was smiling from ear to ear. "Oh, daughter, be careful, don't get burned," her mom told her. "Of course, I don't know yet, but I think Evan is nice." Naomi had always been like that. Whatever happened in her life, she always thought several steps ahead, and now she wanted everything to be as it was in her dreams. The next day they met. At first, when she approached him, he took her hands and for a few minutes they just stood looking at each other, smiling. "You have such good energy," Evan told her then. "And you have." She didn't know what to say to that, so she said so. "You know what, I think we should start dating." Evan was calm, and the fact that they knew each other so little didn't bother him in the slightest. "We could try," she replied, and inside she was jubilant. It had to be that day, to go to the cafe where he was. And then he came to the disco. Is that what happens in life? Naomi used to think that only in love novels they wrote like that, in books or something, but it was impossible. From that moment on, the guys started dating. Naomi introduced Evan to her parents right away. After a while, Evan introduced her to his mom. Now every night they met, went for walks, went somewhere, both of them told each other different stories. "I'm leaving soon," Naomi told him one day. "Where?" He didn't understand. "To study." She laughed back. He looked so scared. "You scared him?" He waved his hand at her. "I think that this separation will not affect our relationship with you," the girl asked him. "You know, I could come with you," he said after a short pause. "That would be perfect," she smiled. After receiving her diploma, Naomi immediately applied to the institute where she wanted to go, got accepted, and first checked into the dormitory. Evan promised that when he solved all his questions, he would come to her, and then they would think about a rented apartment. Since the girl had planned to study here for a long time, she liked it, and she wanted to do it. She wasn't lazy, even when Evan came to visit during the week. They would walk around a bit so that she would have time to do whatever assignments were set. Then the young man said that he could finally stay and they could try to start living together. Naomi was both so pleased by this situation and a little saddened. She realized that if she started living an adult life, she would have less time to study, but she couldn't say no because she really liked this man. "Wow, that's a lot of work," Evan told her. She had already completed 3 years of school, and she had a practicum ahead of her. Naomi could not decide where she would go, either to her hometown or here, where she had already been offered a place. Of course, in the native walls would be very good, but since Evan had already got a job here, she thought that another separation was not necessary in her life. So she agreed to do her internship here in this city. "You decided to stay here after all," the young man told her. Yes, what's the point of going back and forth? Now I'll get an internship, then I'll graduate, and maybe I'll get a job here too, Naomi said. When Naomi came to the school, she could not put it into words how much she liked it here, how much she liked all these children. She had memorized each one during the time that practice was going on. Naomi managed not only to make friends with these children, but also to learn a little about each one, what kind of character each one had and what kind of approach each one needed. When she entered the 4th year, she didn't want to think about anything else, only about going to work. She lived her studies and knew that everything would work out for her. When the girl was already in the 5th year, her mother suddenly came to visit her. She did this very rarely, but here the daughter saw that the woman did not have everything in order. "Mommy, what happened?" She hugged her, and at that moment she did not hold back and cried. It turned out that Naomi's father had left her for another woman. Can you imagine? Her mother looked at her with tearful eyes. "How is this possible? You always had an exemplary family," sat Naomi on a chair and took her hands on her head. "I myself never imagined that I would be alone in my old age," the woman said. She stayed at Evans with Naomi for a few days. In the meantime, the young man decided that while his future mother-in-law was here, he had to propose. He did everything correctly and beautifully. The restaurant, flowers, ring, smiles, and then the main words in Naomi's life. She thought back to her childhood dreams. In them, everything was just as Evan had done now. "Oh, children, how happy I am for you," her mother had said. Once Naomi had read a book that described a girl's wedding. It was written that she wore a light white dress, which was tied around her figure, with a hat on her head. And for some reason, she visualized this image in her head so much that she couldn't think of anything else but that. "Darling, how about an ordinary classic dress?" her mother asked her. "No, I want such a dress." She drew a sketch on paper, but they couldn't find it in the stores. Then, while the girl was at school, which she was coming to the end, she passed the state examination, diploma, everything else. Her mother was looking for a seamstress to do what her daughter wanted so much. "Honey, look what I have here," stood the woman at the closet when her daughter returned from her studies. Almost everything was already turned in. There was only a little left. "Well, show me," Naomi guessed, but she had no idea it would really be so beautiful. "Close your eyes," her mother smiled. Naomi closed her eyes with her hands. She waited. She heard the closet door creak open. She took her hands away. She watched and remained silent. "Mom," she finally exhaled and walked over to her. "Everything for you, my dear." The woman realized that her daughter liked everything. When Evan came home in the evening, the bride-to-be decided not to show him the update and not to tell him, so that it would be a surprise later. They had dinner, agreed that the application would be filed now, and the wedding would be held at the end of the summer. Naomi wanted to get a job by then, and she believed that everything would work out. "As you say," the young man pressed her to himself. Mom decided to stay with the young people. She wanted to help them in everything, and as soon as they signed to leave. So far, everything in the girl's life was as she once dreamed. Study was behind her. Her beloved was near. Only happiness and nothing else. "Hello," she came to school. "Good afternoon," the headmistress looked at her. "I would like to get a job with you." Naomi smiled, because she and this woman had known each other for a long time. When the girl was interning, Beatty herself had told her that she was always welcome here. Of course, Naomi, she extended her hand and took a folder with documents. The girl was sure that she would succeed. There was not a single doubt. She was expected to work in September, and now she could get married. "Nancy, hi," Naomi called her friend. Since they'd been separated, they'd seen each other very rarely. "A friend, finally," she said. "I want to invite you to the wedding," Naomi said, and listened to her friend's reaction. "Are you going to call Natalie and Casey yourself, or should I?" Nancy asked. "No, I'll do it myself," smiled the girl. "Okay, see you later then," said the friend, and they said goodbye. After that, Evan booked the restaurant. Everything was ready. There weren't very many people at the wedding, but it was fun. Evan and Naomi were happy. Mom went home. She hated it so much, but she couldn't stay with the kids all the time, could she? "Beloved, now we have to think about the babies." Evan hugged her, burrowed into her hair, and whispered. "Beloved, wait a little while. I have to do some work," she said. Yes, of course, he kissed her. The work was not easy. At first, Naomi, when she started working, had been kind, making concessions to everyone. But with the children she worked with, she had to be strict with them because they could be sassy. If you were nice to them, they didn't listen, they behaved badly. Naomi began to develop a strong character, a strong voice, and though she cried a lot in the evenings, she liked working at the school. Why do you go there if you cry afterwards? Evan said irritably. He couldn't see his wife suffering. No, I like everything. It's just emotions I can't let out. She lifted her face and smiled. I see it'll get you through school. Her husband didn't like the way things were going. 3 years passed, Naomi still hadn't talked about having kids, even though Evan really wanted to. Well, wait a little longer, she told him. How many can you do? Look at yourself. With your school became nervous, twitchy, he told her reproachfully. Darling, don't be nervous, she sat up to him. Good, he kissed his wife on the neck. At work, the girl was praised, and after 7 years of her work, the director summoned her to her office. Hello, walked an excited Naomi into her office. Have a seat, the woman showed her to a chair. The young teacher was worried. Naomi, would you like to be a head teacher? The principal asked. What? The girl didn't expect to hear that. Why you work? You have all the indicators on top. Saw Naomi that in the hands of the headmistress again all her documents. Good, it meant a promotion, which meant she was doing a good job. Back home today, she returned in high spirits. She and Evan had had a strained relationship for about 6 months. He could stay late at work, go out with his friends and more. The only complaint he had with his wife was that she was exhausted and worked too hard. Nauman hoped that it was just a crisis in the family life, and that soon everything would pass and it would be like before. Evan, I'm home. She entered the apartment, but the answer was silence, as usual lately. The girl went to the kitchen. She put the kettle on, made a light salad, sat down at the table. After that, she picked up the phone to call her husband. When she opened the list of recent calls, she grinned. Why does it like this? She asked herself. Before, when she first wrote down her future husband's number, she had him listed as her favorite, then changed her phone and listed Ivan with just a name. But now the screen was simply labeled husband. Where had it all gone? Where was this great love of theirs? At that moment, he answered her. Honey, where are you? Naomi asked him. And you? I'm at home. I wanted to cry. And I'm at work, he said, because a couple of years ago, he used to come and wait for her, cook dinner, buy flowers, and his wife was gone. When he called, she said she was at work. It's late, she looked at her watch. And what? A lie had piled up, he lied to her. Come, we need to talk, she asked. But he came back when Naomi was already asleep, did something briefly in the kitchen, then came into the bedroom. He took a pillow and a plate and went to sleep in the hall. Good morning, she passed him when she woke up. Morning, he squinted against the bright Keshi because Naomi had opened the curtains. We need to have a serious talk. Naomi stood over him. Good, when they walked together to the kitchen for breakfast and coffee. As they sat at the table, she stirred the sugar in her mug and looked at her husband. Why don't you tell me where you disappear for so long every day? The wife asked Evan. You know, at work, he told her. Okay, she nodded. And what's the name of your job? What started it? He wanted to leave. No, we'll talk, as if turning on the teacher girl. If you don't believe me, it's none of my business, he told her. Evan, why is everything happening like this? What happened to our family? She looked at him, tears in her eyes. And where is it? Our family, show me. I wanted kids and you didn't. Work, work. So live with your work. He stood up and went to get dressed. I don't understand. A tear rolled down her cheek. I'm gone, she heard from the hallway. Good, sighed the girl. She had to go to work too, so she went to her room, got ready, smiled at herself in the mirror, and left the house. You don't look so good, her colleague and friend said to her at work. Yes, my husband's having a little trouble. Naomi didn't want to talk to her. Okay, when you want to tell her, you'll tell her yourself. She didn't bother her. In the evening, when Naomi was home, it was empty again. She did everything as usual. She had to do a little work today. She sat at the table until the night before, but Evan never showed up. No matter how many times the girl called him, he was unavailable. She went to bed, and in the morning she found that he was still gone. The phone was silent too. So 3 days passed. Naomi went to work, came home, where there was still no one. Listen, maybe you should file a search warrant, her friend advised her. No, you what? And if he is just at friends or women, then everyone will laugh. Naomi did not want to do it. Fine, do what you want. Her friend didn't insist on anything. Yeah, Naomi just nodded. Listen, we want to go to a cafe this weekend. Will you come with us? Asked her friend. Oh, what are you? What about? After these words, she was silent. She even felt funny. Who live in? The woman realized what she wanted to say. Yeah, Naomi shook her head. Forget about him, he'll be back now. Give him a beating, pack his things, and put him out on the street, she said. Okay, we'll deal with it ourselves. She went to her room, and a few hours later she headed home. She walked into the apartment, saw the lights on, went into the room. Evan was sitting on the couch. Hi, Naomi said hello to him in a stern voice, showing that she was about to have a serious conversation. Well, he looked at her. Where have you been? She didn't sit down. Where I was, I'm not there anymore, grinned Evan. I see, so you won't talk. She walked to the window. Why not? I was with a woman. He stopped talking. What? She turned sharply. Naomi had assumed it, but to have it like this, he himself directly told her about it. She couldn't believe it. What she heard, I've been seeing a woman for months now. Now she seems to be expecting a baby, my baby. He emphasized the last words in his voice. Good, it became so hurtful that it seemed she was about to suffocate. She wanted to cry, but there were no tears, only a spasm squeezed her throat. Naomi went to the bedroom. She dialed the number of Ariana, the same friend and colleague from school. What's wrong? She picked up the phone. Can I come over? Naomi asked quickly. Of course, she never said no to a friend. Naomi came, told her everything, and then the tears did not wait. The way she was crying now, she had never cried before. That's it, friend. You're definitely coming with us this weekend. You need to relax, summed up her friend. Good, Naomi didn't know what she should even do now. After work the next day, she went home again. Even though she was afraid to see Evan there was nothing to do. But he wasn't there as usual, so she opened her closet and looked at what she had to wear to go out with the girls tomorrow night. A cocktail dress was chosen, shoes. She promised Ariana that she would be beautiful and happy that day. Her husband never showed up, and on Saturday, after working all day, the girlfriends got together in the evening. Shall we have a rest? Ariana asked. Of course, she was exaggerating. They went to a cafe, ordered something to eat, and a glass of champagne. Everything decent. When it was late, Naomi went home. Let's stay a little longer. Look how much fun the music is, Ariana told her. No, I'll go. Naomi didn't want to be here anymore. She would have stayed a little longer, but her friend was always distracted by her other two friends, and Naomi wasn't interested. Okay, can you walk alone? Ariana asked. Sure, the girl smiled back at her. She left the cafe, did not walk a few meters, hit the heel in the grate, which was in the ground, and almost fell. Oops, she bent her foot unnaturally. How come? Not carefully. Some man came up to her. Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't know what Naomi was apologizing for. Come on, I'll walk you out. He took her under his arm. No need, I'll do it. She looked. There was a bench up ahead. It's no trouble at all, the stranger mumbled. They walked a little deeper into the park and sat down on a bench. Thank you, Naomi thought. Her house is just the other way around. It's okay, he smiled. Only now did the girl realize that champagne they'd been drinking the evening before had given her a bit of a headache. Before that, she had thought everything was fine. Would you like some ice cream? The man sitting next to her suddenly asked her. Come on, Naomi thought, why is it that her husband is allowed to find new women, while she can't even meet anyone in the park? Here, take it. He took out a briquette from the bag. Why don't you eat it yourself? She took a bite of the already melting treat. I can't. I went to the dentist this afternoon, he smiled. Do you live in the neighborhood? Naomi asked him. No, I came here specifically to get my teeth fixed, he answered her. Their conversation seemed to be about nothing. In this neighborhood, the girl knew that they had the only clinic in town that was praised. Yes, he turned to her, looked at her and smiled. What? She didn't understand. You got a little dirty. He moved closer to her, wanting to remove the remains of the ice cream that was over her lip. "What are you doing?" She looked at the stranger. His face was very close. "What beautiful eyes you have," he said, and at that moment he started kissing her on the lips. Naomi herself did not know what was wrong with her at that moment, always so decent and correct. Today she just gave in to a total stranger. He kissed her while unbuttoning her dress. She didn't make a sound. It just felt good. After it was over, the girl quickly got up and walked. "What have I done? What a fool." She blamed herself. "Nothing, Vanechka, to spite you. Why is it possible for some people and some not?" She came home and immediately hid in the bathroom. She wanted to wash it all away. But as the shower water poured over her, she remembered the stranger's touch, and her stomach felt heavy. Naomi shook her head, pushing the thoughts away. After that, she went to sleep. When the girl woke up in the morning, her head was cracking so hard that it felt like it was going to split. "Yes, I guess I only felt like I had a couple of drinks," Naomi said to herself, and looked in the mirror. At that moment, she remembered what had happened after she had gone home, her face flooded with color. Good thing it was a stranger and they would never, ever meet again. Today was Sunday, which meant no need to go anywhere. The girl decided to spend the whole day at home. She went to wash her face, looked at herself again, and immediately the memories of yesterday popped up in her mind. What the hell is this? She couldn't understand how she'd even gone for it. She washed her face, ate breakfast. Evan was still gone, but Naomi wasn't thinking about him today. She got comfortable on the couch, turned on the TV. There was nothing interesting there. Then the girl decided to call her friend to ask how they ended last night. At that moment, she remembered about herself again. When she imagined it, it was so embarrassing, and suddenly someone saw. But she pushed it away again and dialed Ariana's number. "Hi, how was the party last night?" she asked her friend. "Oh, and don't ask, my head hurts. I'm still in bed," she answered. "I see. Take a pill, then I'll call you later," Naomi told her and hung up. Then she got up. She decided to do a little cleaning. The apartment was already clean. She just needed to dust. And that she did. She thought she should make dinner. She went to the kitchen. Naomi was waiting for something, but she didn't realize it. When it was far after lunch, she sat down in front of the TV again. It was starting some love series. She loved it. At the same time, the girl opened a news feed on the internet to find out what was going on in their city. This page was very popular and convenient. You always know what events and where they happened. What is this? She saw a picture of their neighborhood, and then there was the news text. It said that yesterday a man came to the dentist's office and was diagnosed with HIV. Everyone who had been to the dentist's office that day should be tested immediately to rule out any cases of the disease. Jesus. Naomi clamped her hand over her mouth. She remembered the stranger's words that he had come specifically to have his teeth treated. Why didn't he treat them in his city? What to do? After that, the girl had a panic attack. She thought that if the school found out something, and they were soon to have a medical examination, it would be a disgrace for the whole town. And what next? How to live with all this? Naomi got through the day, and the next day she went to the principal's office first thing in the morning. "I want to quit," she said from the doorstep. She didn't understand. She looked at the employee confused. "What is not clear? I divorced my husband. I want to leave," said the girl so quickly, as if something afraid. "Naomi, calm down, sit down. Let's talk." Betty began to speak calmly. "I'm fine. I just want to get out of here as soon as possible," she said. "Okay, but maybe you can work for a month?" asked the principal. "There are 2 weeks till the end of the year. I'll finish them. I won't work anymore," the girl said firmly. "Okay." The one gave her a sheet and a pen for Naomi to write a statement. It was necessary to finish all the things. Naomi was afraid to meet Ariana. She didn't want to tell anyone anything, because even the closest ones could spread gossip. Now she would come straight to the first class, and as soon as the bell rang from the last class, she would leave immediately. "Girlfriend, what's wrong with you? Where are you? Betty said you were leaving?" Ariana called her. "Yeah, sorry, I don't have time." She was just dropping the call. It was a few days before the end of the furlough period, and Evan still hadn't come home once. No matter how many times Naomi called him, he either didn't answer or just dropped the call. Then his wife decided to leave him a letter in which she wrote that she was not angry with him and wished him happiness, and also that he himself filed for divorce. She does not mind, and let them with a new girl, everything will be fine. The girl put the paper on the table. After that, she went to bed. The next day, she was leaving. Mom, hi, she came home. Naomi? She was surprised. Her daughter never came without calling. Why are you so surprised? I can't come home already? She smiled naively. No, it's okay. Come in. Took her back the woman. Before this, the daughter had not told her mother what was going on in their family. But now, when they were sitting in the kitchen, she decided to tell her everything. Mommy, I have to leave, she told her as they sat at the table drinking tea. I don't understand what happened. Everything was fine with you. The woman was surprised. Evan found someone else. They are expecting a child, and I can't cope with this situation. I decided to go away. Tears rolled from my eyes. Yes, there might have been some truth to it, but that wasn't why Naomi was crying. She would never stay here, and if the truth became known, she would be ashamed of herself in front of her mother. Oh my God, my little girl. Her mom hugged her and cried too. Listen, you remember Aunt Cindy, who lives somewhere in the South? She asked her daughter. Well, she nodded. Maybe I'll go to her place. We used to go there a lot, Naomi suggested. I don't even know. We haven't talked in so many years, the woman said. All right, I need the sea air and distance from society now, she lied. Well, maybe I should come with you, the mother asked. No, you'll be fine. I'll stay with you for a couple of days and then I'll be on my way, Naomi said in a businesslike manner. Everything was so fast and amazing, not only for the mother but also for the girl herself. Now all the evenings while she was here, they would get together with her mother, and as they had done long ago, they would watch different movies and then discuss them. The mother, in this way, wanted to distract her daughter from bad thoughts. Don't be bored, I'll be there soon, Naomi hugged her, thinking that it might not be true. Good, and you there as you get settled, be sure to call, cried and kissed her woman. Naomi went to the station, got on the train, drove, looked out the window, and thought that this was not the life she had dreamed of. Some women sat next to her and they chatted and laughed. And here she was. The last time she had been here was when she was still in school. For some reason, the village had seemed big to her then. And now, when the cab had brought her there, she could see that there were not so many inhabitants. Anybody home? She knocked on the window. The house sloped and seemed smaller than it had seemed to her before. Come in just for fun, a woman passed by. Okay, Naomi was surprised. She went through the gate, then into the house. It didn't smell very good. Aunt Cindy, shouted the girl. Who is it? She heard from the room. It's me, Naomi. Remember, me and Grandma used to come to visit you all the time, she told her. Oh, Naomi, come in. The girl entered the room. The woman was lying in bed. It was obvious that she was sick. Everything around her was dirty and dark. What's wrong with you? Naomi was amazed that she hadn't reported anything to anyone. It's just something that happened. I came home from the hospital and I'm lying here. Neighbors go help, but still, everything is not the same, Caroline complained. Why didn't you tell anyone? Naomi was still standing in the middle of the room. Why burden anyone with your problems? She wanted to smile, but she did it very badly. I see. I think that you will not refuse me hospitality, and in return, I will do everything here and help you, Naomi said. Great, stay. I won't be bored, said Caroline. From that moment, Naomi started cleaning the house. She went to the store and bought some groceries to cook something in the evening. As she walked down the street, she realized that there were only a few houses left in the village, just like the inhabitants. Hello, why did everyone leave? Naomi asked a woman passing by. I don't know. They're all going to the city, she shrugged. I see. Naomi nodded her head. It was even better for her. Less people, less gossip. Who are you? Who are you here to see? The local woman asked back. To Caroline, she is sick. She needs care. Naomi caught herself thinking that she had started to lie a lot lately. Oh, that's good. And we're all worried about her. The woman smiled. Everything will be fine. They walked down the street together. And why are you? Do not live there, at home, nodded her head interlocutress. I broke up with my husband, he left, so I decided to hide somewhere to not see anyone. The girl lied again. Oh, it's nice here, smiled the woman. By the way, my name is Naomi. She waited for her to introduce herself. And I'm Anna, she said in a friendly manner. Nice to meet you, Naomi smiled back. She went to the store, bought, of course, not everything she needed, but something. "I'm back," she informed Caroline when she got to the house. She heard nothing in reply. She was frightened, but when she entered the room, she realized that her mistress was just sleeping. The girl covered her with a blanket and herself went to the kitchen. Naomi liked it here very much. She remembered from her childhood how she used to go swimming with the local kids. Now she wanted to dive into the cool water. She was alone here. No one was bothering her at all. And that was a good thing. Recently, Naomi thought about herself, her life, her health. It was sad that everything turned out this way, but there was nothing left. She didn't take any tests on purpose because she didn't even want to know that there was something wrong with her. Today and the next few days, she spent a lot of time on the beach. "Caroline, how are you?" She came to the house, which was now bright with sunlight. She was fine, she said, but she sounded like she was moaning. Great. Naomi saw her cheer up, but she realized she wasn't really. The woman was constantly on painkillers. The girl herself did not think about anything. She considered the diagnosis, which she had recently learned about, very terrible and fatal. So she thought that as long as she was given, she would spend her time here. Maybe someday she would invite her mom to visit, but that was something to think about later. For now, she needed to get the house in proper shape. She had already done it inside, but now she had to do something outside, because everything looked not very nice there either. Baba Anna, Naomi had come to the woman's house and was now calling out to her. "Yes, Naomi," she went outside. "Isn't there a couple of sturdy men who could help me?" asked the girl. "Oh, I'm not here, but you can call and they'll come," she said. But Naomi didn't want to invite anyone to the village. She decided that she would do everything in time. Now she was in no hurry. "Thank you," she went back. "Wait, come in for a cup of tea," the woman offered her. "Thank you," the girl went to her. She didn't want to talk to anyone at first, but knowing how people lived in the village, she didn't want them to say anything about her. "Caroline, now I'll heat up dinner and we'll eat." Naomi thought that here she began to feel something different than before. She wanted so badly to call her friend, to tell her that she was doing well, but she didn't. She had thoughtfully changed her phone number when she left, and now no one knew where she was or how to call her. She'd also warned her mom not to give her contacts to anyone. "Oh, I feel so bad today," the woman said. Now Naomi went to the room to give the mistress a shot. "Naomi, sit down." She was breathing heavily. "What?" The woman came closer to her and sat down beside the bed. "Listen, I have no one. All my life I thought, here now, I'll earn money, and then a husband and children. But you see, as it turned out, if I'm gone, you can live in this house. I'm there." She pointed her hand to the table and stopped talking, closed her eyes. It was obvious that it was difficult for her to talk. Naomi took Naomi's injection and gave it to the woman. You could hear her feeling better. "Thank you." Cindy looked at the girl. "It's going to be okay," Naomi repeated like a mantra. "Thank you. You got here just in time," the woman said. A month passed, the second. As Naomi lived here, she liked everything, only she missed her mother very much. The girl went every day to the neighbors, which were not so many. She tried to pay attention to each of them. On some days she made pies and invited everyone to her yard. Carolina was getting worse every day. "Maybe you should go to the hospital," Naomi suggested it. "No, they wouldn't help," she coughed. "I don't know how to help you," Naomi cried every day. "You don't have to help me, just let it go." The woman stood her ground. "I just can't do that." Lately the mood was changing by the hour. "It's okay." Caroline held Naomi's hand. She was gone after 4 months of Naomi living here. "Baba Anna." Naomi came running to her in the night. "What's wrong?" She ran out of the house in a scarf. "Caroline." Naomi couldn't speak quietly. "My God." The neighbor woman understood at once. "Come on, I'm scared." She did not know what to say and how to behave at this moment. "Now run to the others." She waved her hand at her. "Okay." Naomi went to the next neighbors. As she ran, she wiped her feet so badly she couldn't get up afterward. The women did everything right. They called the paramedics. The paramedics documented everything. They didn't take the woman anywhere because it was written in her medical history that she was sick. "Everything is ready. We can bury her," Anna said sadly. "Good," agreed everyone else, and only Naomi could not come to her senses. But she gathered her thoughts. and everyone went to the cemetery. It was business as usual there. After all sat down at the table, memorialized, said a few words, and began to disperse. "And you, girl, why don't you take care of yourself?" asked Naomi Anna, who stayed here. "Don't you understand?" The girl looked at her with big eyes. "You'd have a baby under your heart," smiled Grandma Anna. "What? It can't be." Now Naomi realized why she felt so bad and her mood was changing. "It can, and indeed it can," smiled the woman. "And what to do now?" was as the frightened girl. "You what?" Baba Anna laughed. "No, sorry." Naomi realized that now she could give herself away. "You see, her husband left and left you a present," the woman said. "Yes, a present." Naomi shook her head. Now she wanted to be alone to think. "Don't be sad. We'll help you with everything," Anna said. "Forgive me, I'm tired. I need to rest and think about everything," Naomi said to her neighbor. "That's it, I understand. I'm leaving." She got up and went to the exit. And Naomi was left alone. She sat by the window and began to think about what to do and how to be further. If there really was a disease, it could be transmitted to the child. If you go to register, you have to take tests. Everything will be clear at once. "No, I will not do anything. Let everything go as it goes," she said to herself. The next day, the girl went to the city, went to the store, bought tests, and then everything that may be useful in childbirth. She realized that there would be a lot of blood, so she took gloves for her hands so as not to endanger anyone. And as for the baby, she had wanted one for a long time, and there was no way she was going to give it up now and not hurt it. Naomi had made up her mind finally. Since Grandma Anna knew about her situation, she had already told everyone the good news. When Naomi arrived from town, they were waiting for her. One brought milk, the other curd. "Here, now you need it, all your own, homemade, useful." They gave the girl all this in her hands. "Thank you." The girl was grateful. "Eat to your health," they smiled, sincerely happy for the girl. "Thank you very much," Naomi smiled, but she wanted to cry. She went back into the house. The girl realized that now, if she had a child, he would need a lot of things. She used to have some savings of her own, and Caroline gave her pension. It was enough for everything. Now he had to figure out something to earn money. There were no organizations here, except for the store, but there was a salesman. Yes, and now, when her belly starts to grow, Naomi won't be able to stand behind the counter for hours at a time. "So let's remember the youth," Naomi said to herself, and went to the room. She saw there Carolina had a lot of yarn and different material. The girl took out yarn and needles, sat down in an armchair, and began to knit. Not an hour passed, and she already had a small toy in her hands. Great. She evaluated her own work. After that, she went and sat down at the computer to sell. It is necessary to tell people that she is doing it. Naomi created a small website, advertised that she knits toys and sews to order. After that, she started making products. When Grandma Anna came to visit her and saw all this, first began to grumble that when pregnant knit is not allowed, the baby can be harmed. But Naomi did not believe in such omens. She continued, "You know what, and take my old machine, even though it is many years old, but it can still do a lot of things," said the woman. "You have no idea how you will help me." Naomi has already thought about this topic, wanted to rent somewhere. "Nothing, sew me a robe," laughed the neighbor. From that moment, the girl began to sew. She was good at it. One of the women from the village went to the market in town every day. She sold milk, cheese, and cottage cheese there. "Hello, Maria." Naomi came to her one day. Her belly was already visible. "Hi, Naomi," she greeted her. "Look what I brought you." The girl took out of the bag new curtains for the windows, a robe and pajamas for the woman's husband. "Oh, what are you doing? Why so much?" the woman asked her. "I want to ask you for a favor, and I can only pay with this," Naomi said modestly. "Ask for whatever you want." The local woman wondered, "Could you take my toys to the market? Maybe someone will buy them?" She gave the bag for the woman to look at. "Sure," smiled Maria. "Thank you. There on the tags is written my email address. Maybe someone will start to order," showed the girl to the woman. "I see your point," nodded the woman. She left the next day in the morning, and in the evening she brought Naomi the proceeds. She sold them all. "You wouldn't believe how popular they are," Maria said admiringly. "I'm so happy. Will you take more?" Naomi asked. Even though the earnings were not so big, but still, it was enough for something. After that, a good sale started. Since Naomi was alone, she didn't have time to make much. It was frustrating, but the girl tried. One evening, Anna came to Naomi's house. She entered the house and looked at the products that the girl makes for a long time. "Everything is so beautiful. People like it for a reason," she said. "Yes, thank you," was grateful to all these residents. Naomi, "Listen, my dear." The woman sat down at the table. "You're due soon, and you're not even going to the hospital. You see, I have a fear of big cities lately. I don't know, maybe it was the divorce. I had to lie to the girl again. And where are you going to give birth?" Grandma made big eyes. Here, she showed me the place she had prepared for the birth. "What? Are you crazy?" Grandma Anna was surprised. "What's wrong? Everyone used to give birth like this." Naomi almost cried. She was waiting and afraid of this conversation. "Okay, and then what?" The woman didn't understand. "Nothing, we'll give birth, then we'll register the child, and that's it." Naomi shrugged her shoulders because she didn't know what would happen afterwards. "Okay, girl, you are risky. You need to tell Aurora what you have made up." She stood up and headed for the exit. "Thank you." The girl threw her arms around the woman. Sometimes Naomi, when she wasn't working, started to think about how and what would happen. She hadn't told her mom how surprised she would be when she found out about her grandson. And that was the worst part. Sooner or later, if she was sick, someone would find out. "Everything will be fine," Naomi said with each stitch as she knitted or sewed. It calmed her down a bit. When the girl was already in her last month, she received a letter in the mail. It was from some private store. They wanted to order from the girl a small batch of toys to try out. That day, Naomi had a feast. She made pies again, cut up salads, and invited the closest people, which was practically everyone. "I didn't think it would work out," shook her head at Maria, who was still driving and selling what the girl gave her. "To be honest, I didn't really believe it myself," Naomi said quietly. "Okay, it's okay." Grandma Anna stroked her arm. A week later, Naomi went into labor. She made her way to her neighbor's house and told her everything. At first she groaned, then screamed and ran to Aurora, who knew how to deliver babies. "It's like a primitive system. You could have called the hospital," Aurora said. "It's too late to call somewhere else," grumbled Anna. "Water," the woman commanded. "Here." Naomi handed her a bag containing bandages, gauze, gloves, masks, and more. "What's all this for?" Aurora didn't understand. "Just in case, for sterility," Naomi said between contractions. "Okay." Aurora and Anna put everything on. They looked ridiculous now. Oddly enough, everything went very well. The whole thing lasted about 3 hours. And here's a mother holding her newborn son. "Should we call an ambulance?" Aurora asked the girl. "If necessary, I'll do it myself," she thanked her. Aurora left, and Anna stayed in the house for a long time. She cleaned everything, washed the floors. Now it seemed as if nothing had ever happened here. "What will you name your son?" the woman asked. "John," said a happy Naomi. She smiled. "I'm so happy for you. Congratulations." She walked over and looked at the young girl and the little baby in her arms. "If it wasn't for you," cried the girl. She thought to herself, if it weren't for her, then she wouldn't have been so careless in the park. There wouldn't have been all this. But on the other hand, she wouldn't have a son now either. She was so tired that, while John sniffled beside her, she dozed off too. She woke up to her son stirring. Naomi was so curious about all this, she tried to feed the baby, but there was no milk yet. The next day, the whole village came to congratulate the young girl. It was necessary to go to register the baby, but Naomi could not do it yet. Everything hurt. "Do you want me to do it?" Grandma Anna asked. "No, now, a little step back, and I'll do everything myself." "And who will let you do it?" Naomi said quietly. "As you know," shrugged the neighbor. For now, the girl was happy every day when she was near Stepa. She couldn't believe that such a thing had happened in her life. But it was true, so it had to be accepted. Alone, Naomi was good, but now, with a small child, knitting and sewing was possible only in those moments when John was asleep. The girl was very tired. She just fell off her feet. But there were orders, and not small. The girl had a choice: to refuse all customers and lose them forever, or a little patience and have an established base. Now the girl had to make another separate tab, which demonstrated what Naomi was sewing. because where the toys were, it was no longer relevant. "What are you doing, girl? You must be exhausted already." Grandma Anna came to her once again. "No, I'm fine," Naomi answered her. "Why haven't you registered the baby yet?" the woman asked. "We'll do it," Naomi said tiredly. "Look at you. Who do you look like? And let me take John for a walk, and you get some sleep," the woman said sternly. Naomi looked at her and fell asleep as she walked. "That's it. No more talking. Go to bed," the woman commanded. "Thank you." That's all the girl said. While Baba Anna went outside, the young mistress was already asleep. She was so tired lately that she just couldn't stay on her feet anymore. Sam came home. He lived with his mom. He was fine, but he couldn't forget one thing that happened to him recently in the park of the neighboring town. "Son, why are you sitting there? At least go out," the woman said to him. "I don't want to," he told her. The young man worked for himself. He practically never left the house because he didn't need to. "How so? I don't want to. All young guys go out, meet girls, and you are always alone, like a beggar." The woman was indignant. "I like one girl," he confessed to his mother. "And why don't you go out with her? Don't invite her to visit." The woman was surprised. "Because I don't know her," he answered truthfully. "What do you mean?" The woman didn't understand. Just like that, I don't know, that's all." The young man began to feel sad. At that moment in the park, he didn't know what had gotten into him. He just wanted to kiss her, but it had gone too far. And now those eyes, the smell, the hair, everything came back to him, and he couldn't get rid of it. When a few weeks had passed since that moment, the young man decided to go to the place where he had been not so long ago and meet his mysterious stranger. He remembered that she had told him about the neighborhood where she lived. He would walk there. Then he would go to the park, sit on the same bench, waiting for her to remember and come. But it didn't happen, and the guy was bored and suffering. "Why are you like this? How long has it been?" his friend asked him. "You see, there is a girl I want to find, but I cannot," he said to his friend. "And what's the problem? The internet will help you," he replied and smiled. "You see, I don't even know her name," he still said sadly. "What do you know?" "Nothing, the city where she lives. And that's all." Sam waved his hands. Understandably, the friend asked everything he knew, wrote down, promised to think of something. But the latter couldn't do anything about it either. Naomi's social media accounts didn't list her as living in the town where they'd met Sam. And there was no other way to find her. "So friend, don't be sad. Let's go to a club or a cafe together, meet someone, get acquainted," Alex asked him. "No, I don't want to." The guy shook his head negatively. "And suddenly, you will meet her, and she is not the one you dream about. You said yourself that you saw her only a few minutes," said the comrade. "You don't understand. I feel like we have a connection," Sam told him. "Okay, you said you know what neighborhood she lives in. Maybe we'll go there and just walk through all the houses," Alex suggested. "Do you have any idea how many there are?" The young man was surprised. "Well, what do you suggest then? Imagine how many women from this city, and suddenly she was there, not a local, just like you." Could not change his friend's mind. "Alex, I don't want to talk about it." Sam didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to talk about it at all. "I see, you don't want to talk about it. Just say so," Alex told him. They talked a little more, and then Sam withdrew into himself again. He sat down at his computer every night, opened the girls from the city where they met, and just looked at them. Maybe he'd fall for her, but unfortunately that didn't happen, and Sam suffered again. "Why is she so firmly planted in my head?" he asked himself. "Son, come out." His mother came home from work. He sometimes thought she was calling him to help him with something. But no, in the corridor stood another someone's daughter. "Hello," the young man said to the girl, but he looked at his mother with judgment. "Why are you standing there? Invite Casey into the room," the woman said. "Come in." The young man couldn't tell his mother in front of the girl that she was meddling in his life. "Hi," she walked by, clearly shy. "Mom, why do you bring them here?" the guy told her. "Look, what nice girls. Why did not you want to communicate with them?" asked him a woman. "Mom." Sam looked at her indignantly, took the kettle, cups, and tea, and went to the room where Casey was waiting for him. "All right, you sit here and I'll go for a walk," the woman said. "All right," nodded Casey's head. As soon as his mother left the apartment, Sam immediately relaxed. He'd start talking and making things up so that Casey would see it all and go off on her own. "You think I like it?" She got the hint. "Then why did you come?" The young man didn't understand her. "I couldn't say no to my mom." "Neither could you." Casey rolled her eyes. At that moment, Sam realized she wasn't the good girl her mother had told him she was. "Do you want a beer?" the young man asked her. "Yeah," she nodded her head. Sam realized that at least he could talk to someone normally instead of sitting with hot tea in his hands and pretending to like everything. "You want to go out tonight?" Casey asked. "Nah, I don't want to." He turned on the TV, threw his feet up on the couch, printed out a beer. "Why, what's sitting here in this apartment, and even next to his mom?" She didn't understand. It was all temporary, he was sure of it. Once a couple of years ago, he'd set out to buy his own apartment, and he'd done it. But then his sister and her husband got into a mortgage. That's when his mother suggested renting out his apartment so she could use the money to help pay the monthly payments. Sam loved and respected his sister, so he agreed to help her. But he had a condition. As soon as he finds a girl, he moves back to this place. That's what he shared with the girl. "Wow, I couldn't do that." Casey remembered her life with her parents and younger brother in the same apartment. "But I could." For some reason at that very moment, the guy remembered his stranger and he felt sad again. "All right, I should probably go." Casey got up off the couch. "Okay, what do we say you don't like me?" The young man smiled. "I don't care," she shrugged. "Okay, you're normal. Don't listen to your mother," Sam advised her. "Okay, you are too, by the way." She smiled at him and walked out the doorway. After that, Sam started thinking about her again, the one he had met so suddenly and then lost as well. At that moment, his phone rang. He got distracted, answered it. It was Alex's best friend. "Are you still souring at home?" he asked him. "Yeah, my mom just brought my girlfriend over." Sam told his friend how his mom was matchmaking him. "I wish I could do that," the friend envied. "Want me to introduce you?" the guy asked in a friendly way. "Sure, can you?" Alex wasn't sure about it. "Wait." The young man went to the balcony. Casey just came out of the entrance. He shouted to her, asked her to wait a bit. She got curious. She stopped. "That's it, friend. I'll call you back. Meet me today at 7 as usual at our place," Sam said and hung up. He changed his clothes, went out, closed the doors, and went downstairs. "Did I forget something?" She looked at him. "No, I just thought we could go out tonight." He walked beside her. "Well, why the sudden change?" She was walking beside him. "Honestly?" He turned to her. "Yeah," she was smiling. "I have a friend, Alex. He's been looking for a normal girl for a long time. I suggested he meet you." He laughed. "What are you doing?" She didn't understand. "Thought now that I'm acting like a mother by pandering," the guy explained to her. "Well, yeah," Casey agreed with him. "So are you in?" Sam asked cheerfully. "We can. Why not? If you're so fun, you're probably a friend too," she concluded. Yeah, Alex would be even more fun. They were already on their way to the cafe where their friend was supposed to join them. They arrived, sat down at the table. Sam looked at the clock. It was still half an hour before Alex was supposed to show up. The young man made an order for now. He was sure that Casey must like the comrade. When the maid arrived, he was cheerful and he liked Casey right away, especially since her best friend had recommended her. "Hi, I'm Alex." He took a seat next to her. "Casey," she looked over and realized that her new acquaintance hadn't fooled her. "Well, you guys hang out and I should probably get going." Sam started to get ready. No, where are you going?" For some reason, they started stopping him together. "Sit, socialize. Why do you need me?" Young man did not understand. "Come on, really go." His friend waved his hand at him. He wanted to socialize with Casey, and he knew that if Sam stayed here, he would be sad all evening again. Sam went home. It was possible to please his mom that Casey was attached after all. Of course, that wasn't the right word for the girl, but he couldn't think of any other. "I'm home." He walked into the apartment. "Where's Spatachka?" His mom came out. "She stayed at the cafe with Alex," said the guy cheerfully. What about Alex? What about you?" The mother got excited. "Look, she's nice, and Alex has needed one for a long time." So I introduced them. Sam went into the room and closed the doors behind him. "Good," went the woman to the kitchen. She wanted to cry. She thought that her son was not all right with the psyche. The last few months, he just sits all day at home. She tried various ways to get him to wake up, but there was nothing she could do. Friend, hello. The next day, Sam heard his friend's voice on the phone. Hey, how's it going? I was wondering. Everything is great. Casey is really very cool and good girl. We agreed to meet today, Alex said. Well, I told you so. I was happy for my friend Sam. Now Alex started dating Casey. Sometimes best friends were together. And Sam could really see that the girl was treating the young man perfectly. Birthdays, other holidays now this trio attended together, but Sam couldn't always go with the couple. Today you can't refuse to go to the restaurant with us, Alex said almost a year after he met Casey. Did you make up your mind? His friend asked him. Yes, look, he took the ring out of his pocket and showed it to his friend. Wow, and he remembered his mysterious stranger again. Stop being sad. How long can it be? So much time has passed. Are you going to suffer for the rest of your life? Said the friend seriously. Leave me alone. If it passes, you will be the first to know about it. Suddenly, I will come now to your wedding, and there's the first beauty or a great girl, said Sam. Okay, I'll wait for you at 6 o'clock at the restaurant. Just try to be late, Alex threatened with his fist. Of course I'll be there. I couldn't miss such a moment, the one who brought them together and introduced them. He came home. His mother was cooking something in the kitchen. Mammy, I have great news for you. Alex is proposing to Casey today. The young man kissed her. Come on, we should call her mother. She wiped her hands. No, you don't need to call anyone. It's a surprise, said the son, and stopped her. Well, when will you decide to do it? It's been so long and you're still a recluse. She shook her head. Oh, Mom, it's not about me now. The young man wrinkled his nose. In the evening, he was at the restaurant at the appointed time. Alex was already waiting for him. Well, are you ready? Sam asked him. I don't know. I'm very nervous, admitted the comrade. It is understandable. I hope that when I have such a situation, you will support me too. Sam looked at him. What are you talking about? Naturally, they hugged. At that moment, Casey and her parents walked into the restaurant. They approached the table. Everyone thought that today would be just an acquaintance. But when everyone was seated, Alex, in order not to drag, got down on one knee, gave his beloved a ring, and asked if she agreed to marry him. Of course, she really hadn't expected that. Sam looked at the couple. He didn't realize it could end up like this when he suggested his friend to meet Casey. That's it. Now we have to get ready for the wedding, the young man said. Keep in mind, you'll be a witness. Alex looked at him. They've been gone for a long time. The guy was surprised. Will we have them, Casey? He looked at the girl. Yes, she confirmed. And who will Casey have? Sam raised an eyebrow. The witness? She clarified. Well, not at the guy. You'll see, was all the girl replied. Okay, said the friend then. Nothing interesting happened next, so Sam sat for a while longer and started to get ready to go home. He came in. His mom was still awake. So how'd it go? She asked. Great, Mom, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Tomorrow I'll tell her everything, he told her that evening. Okay, did not insist, Mother. The night passed as usual. Nothing happened. In the morning, when Sam woke up, he first sat down at the computer, did all his chores, and then went out to wash his face and have breakfast. Son, you need a suit right now, the woman said. Why, no one is wearing suits now. He didn't understand. You what? The groom will be in a suit, the bride in a beautiful dress, and you in a t-shirt and jeans. Was she in bewilderment? And why not? We don't know yet what Alex will be wearing, he mumbled, not understanding why he necessarily needs to be in this constrained garment. No, a suit is absolutely necessary. His mother shook her head. Okay, I'll go look online now, he said and stood up. Wait, she stopped him. Well, what else? He didn't want to talk about the suit anymore. Now I'll show you something, or rather someone. I have a friend who works in a small store. She found a unique supplier. The young girl sews unique things that no one else has, Mom said, and at that moment turned on her computer. Oh, Mom, come on. I'd rather do it myself, sighed Sam. He was already tired of her hyper-parenting. No, you just look, and maybe you'll like it. At that moment, the computer turned on. The woman entered the site, and Sam couldn't believe his eyes. His so mysterious stranger from the park was looking at him from the monitor. Wait, he walked over and sat down in a chair. There, what did I say? Wait, I'll show you what she's doing. The woman leaned over and wanted to do something. Please, the young man looked at her. Okay, you wanted to do it yourself. Look, she didn't mind. The main thing was that he was interested. It was some kind of miracle. He couldn't believe it was her. Why did it happen? When he'd been looking for her for so long, his mother just knew about her. Sam still couldn't believe it. He was looking for some kind of trick, wondering if it wasn't her, but just a girl who looked like her. But no, it was the girl who had once twisted her leg, and they had gone to the park with her. The young man copied the address of her page, threw it to himself, and immediately went to his room. Hello, he wrote to her in private messages. After he sent it all, after every second he checked whether she had read it or not. Good afternoon. The reply didn't come until an hour and a half later. In that time, Sam was all exhausted. He wondered if it was a fake site. I would like to order a costume from you. I will be a witness at the best friend, he wrote her. Before that, the young man thought about whether to tell her or not, and then decided that she would take him for a madman, did not. Sure, now I'll drop you where you need to take the measurements and the fabric you can choose, wrote him a seamstress. Great, I'm waiting. His hands were shaking. He was so anxious he was even sweating. When the message came back from her, Sam went to his mother. Mom, urgently need a centimeter tape to take measurements, he spoke quickly. Wow, a minute ago he didn't want anything and now he already needs to take measurements, she was surprised. Can you make things quicker, he asked her. Sure now, the woman opened the dresser and started looking. She pulled out everything she needed, wrote down on paper what she was measuring, and then started twisting her son this way and that. When everything was ready, he grabbed the paper and went to the computer to rewrite everything. The mother was surprised at this quickness. I'm all done, I'm sending it. He wrote and sent all the numbers and the kind of fabric he liked. It wasn't really like that. Sam had picked the first one he saw. He just wanted her to answer him quickly. Okay, I'll take a look and text you if it's not clear, was all she said. Okay, I'm waiting. He pressed the send button. There was so much excitement inside that he couldn't even breathe. The next moment, the guy grabbed his phone. He wanted to call his friend to share his joy with him. Alex, hi. He spoke quickly and loudly. Sam, I can't talk yet, quickly muttered the friend. Too bad, sighed the man and hung up the phone. He couldn't sit or stand or do anything else. He wanted to sit at the computer, to write to her. Sam knew now that the girl's name was Naomi, and that was fine. Today, he'd been in a rut all day. His mother had said something. Someone had called, but he hadn't picked up the phone. The guy just imagined how he would come to her, because the city where she lived was only a few kilometers away. Hello. He heard one thin peak in the morning and immediately jumped up. He knew she was writing. Good morning. It didn't take a second for him to reply. I looked it up and made the cutouts. Naomi texted him. That's great. Maybe I can come over for a fitting, he asked the girl. Usually, if all the measurements are correct, there is no need for a fitting, she replied. But I still want to come, Sam insisted. No, that's not an option. I live very far away from you, she refused. I don't get it. I thought it was in a neighboring town, she stated. No, that's outdated information. I'm in the South now, she clarified. I don't care. I'll come get the suit myself. Sam was not only persistent, but as brash as it might seem. Goodbye. She sent the message and exited the chat room. Sam got up from his desk, grabbed his phone, and drove to his friend's house. He didn't realize what he should do now. He knew the girl's name and the approximate region where she lived. That's what he told Alex. You know what you're talking about. If before we didn't know the name, but only the neighborhood and at least the city. Now we know the name and the whole South. Do you realize what you're talking about? Alex, there she is. I found her. She's practically already met me, Sam said. Well, I don't know. Offer her double the price and tell her you'll be there in the near future. Shrugged and suggested a friend. Great idea. He said goodbye to his friend and went home. When he got there, he sat down again at the computer. He saw that the girl was not online, but he wrote to her anyway. Naomi, hello. I need this suit very urgently. My friend is getting married. The wedding is in a couple of days. We just can't wait for it to arrive in the mail. If you want, I can offer double the price, he wrote to her. He sat at the monitor, waiting for her to at least read his messages. But an hour, 2, 3 passed, and the message still hung there unread. He went and laid down on the couch. If she wrote him the address now, he would get off his seat and go to her. It didn't matter what transportation it was, plane, train, car. He would do anything to meet her. "Sam, let's go to dinner," his mother called him. Okay, he got up and realized that he hadn't eaten anything since morning. The young man went to the kitchen. Even though he was hungry, he didn't eat like he always did. "What's wrong?" Mom asked. "I'll tell you later, if everything works out," answered her son with some riddles. "Something with work?" She began to guess. "No, Mom, you can't guess." Sam wanted to eat and go back to this room. "Okay, you don't have to say it." The woman pretended to be offended. "Mom, it's okay." Her son came up to her and hugged her. He realized he couldn't tell her anything yet. When Sam got to this room, he saw that not only had the message been read, but there was a reply. He quickly sat down at the table. "Well, if you need it so urgently, you can come over," Naomi wrote. And these were the cherished words that the guy had been waiting for. "Write your address," he wrote it. And now the seconds stretched like hours as he waited for her to reply. And lo and behold, at the top of the screen he saw running dots. That meant the girl was writing. Sam crossed his fingers. And the next moment the address popped up on the screen, with the neighborhood, city, street, and house. How happy the young man was now. "Alex, I found her." Without greeting or any introductions, Sam told his friend. "Great. You remember that the wedding is in a month. Will you have time?" reminded his friend. "Of course, and I won't be there alone." The young man was sure. "Wow, you're so confident," his friend marveled. "It's okay." Sam didn't want to talk anymore. "Okay, friend, I wish you good luck. Fly to your favorite stranger, and then I'll wait for you at my party." Alex wanted to say goodbye. "Her name is Naomi," Sam said. "Great," answered the friend. After that, the young man ordered plane tickets. He was ready even to refuse her, just to see her again. "Are you going somewhere?" Sam's mother asked him. "Of course I have to pick up my suit," he didn't tell her. It was only a day away, but the day didn't want to end. There was nothing Sam could do. In the morning, he wanted to do things to make the time pass faster, but that wasn't the case. The minutes dragged on, they added up to hours, but even after that it was very long. "Mom, I'm off." He picked up his bag when it was 6 hours before the flight. "Good luck. I don't know why you're so worried, but I wish you a good flight," she hugged her son. "You have no idea what awaits you if everything works out well." He was confusing her again. "Okay," she pressed her lips together, realizing her son was up to something. Sam was on his way to his favorite stranger. He called her that in his head, even though he knew her name and where she lived. He got on the plane, and in a couple of hours he was going to land in the place where his happiness and love might live. And again time, which in no way wanted to move. And then the young man fell asleep, and he dreamed of her, so tender and beautiful. At the airport, he took a cab. It did not matter how much it cost. He was going to meet his destiny. Naomi was in the yard at that moment. She was doing something. John was sleeping in a stroller. Grandma Anna came in to see her. "Well, how are you?" she asked the girl. "Everything is fine," she shrugged her shoulders. "Any orders?" The woman knew all about it. "Yes, one should come today for a suit," Naomi said. "How to come? You usually by mail?" Anna was surprised. "Yes, but this one insisted, promised double the price." She looked up at the woman. "Wow, so you liked it a lot," concluded the grandmother. Probably didn't know Naomi. She was so tired during all this time that already, and could not speak on any subject. If it had been up to her, she would have given up a long time ago. But she had a child growing up, so there was nothing she could do. Naomi sighed heavily and continued to sit and watch her son sleep. Naomi heard a car pull up to the gate. She realized that other than a guest who needed a suit urgently, no one could have arrived. Naomi went into the house to retrieve what she had made. She took the roll, and as she was walking out, she heard a car pull away. "I don't get it," she said, and walked faster to the gate to see what was going on. Sam, on the other hand, let go of the cab driver at that moment, got out of the car, and with quick steps also walked to the gate. He stood in front of it and waited to be opened. Naomi opened it. At first she didn't notice him, and when she saw him, she immediately began to resent him. "Young man, what kind of joke is this? Why did you let the car go?" Here it is later. She stopped talking and stared at him. Naomi, hi, Sam smiled. This can't be happening. She dropped the suit roll out of her hands. Why can't it be? I've been looking everywhere for you. He took her by the arms and no one cared about the suit bag. Who are you? She cried, at which point the young man pulled her close to him. My name is Sam. I purposely did not tell you anything when we corresponded with you. I wanted to come, he explained to the girl. Let's go inside, she said, as if something was about to happen. Okay, he followed her. You were looking for me on purpose. I'm not going anywhere, and I won't take any tests, she told him. What do you mean? The young man didn't understand. About your illness, I realized that just like that you would not look for me, and so insist on coming for the suit. She did not look at him. What sickness? He got up from the chair he was sitting in. Are you going to fake it now? She looked at him as if she wanted to destroy him with one look. Naomi explained, I don't understand anything, he approached her. No need to. I already succumbed to your charms once. She tried to remove his hands. I don't understand anything. Tell me everything. It seems to me that it's not enough that you and I didn't know each other. So if you're accusing me of something else, he looked at her. And the girl saw that the guy really didn't understand what she was saying. Then in the park, she stopped talking and turned away because she felt ashamed again, even though it had been so long. Well, what then in the park? He remembered that, and further, what she was accusing him of, it was unclear. And then she sobbed. So everything, I do not understand anything. We will now sit down, and you will tell me everything in order. He pulled her behind him and put her not on a chair, but on his lap. You really don't know anything. She couldn't believe it. Naomi, when she saw him at her gate, had thought he had been diagnosed with an illness, and now he needed to bring his partner to get tested too. That's why she was acting like this now. I'm listening to you carefully, muttered Sam calmly. Okay, then on the bench, she didn't have time to finish, he interrupted her. I remember that, and I've heard it more than once today. He wanted more than that. They never saw each other once after that, neither he nor she. They didn't know each other's names. What could be the complaints? So you told me that night that you were in our neighborhood at the dentist's. She looked at him. I had been, he remembered those words, but he didn't know what she was getting at. The next day, they called everyone there for dental treatment because she couldn't say why. Well, he waited. They found HIV. They had to take tests. She finished her sentence. So what next? He still didn't understand what story she was telling him. You don't understand, there was a sick person there, and you were treating teeth. She didn't finish. She thought he would understand. You thought I was in that clinic and you were infected. He finally got it. Why not? She was sitting with her back to him. Yes, I was in that clinic, but not on that day, but before that. And in fact, if that was the case, I would have been called. You leak contacts there. He pressed her against him and laughed. What you mean? She turned to him. Yep, he nodded, not yet knowing what she had done to cover it all up. Here I am. She covered her eyes with her hands. Uncomprehending, he turned her towards him and took her hands away from her face. You have no idea. And she told him how she had written a letter to her husband, how she had come here, looked after her aunt. Well, you have no idea. The young man didn't know what to say. Wait, she pulled away from him. What? He didn't understand how that could even happen in life. My God, she cried. At that moment, the doors opened and Baba Anna entered the house. Naomi, he's awake, he's hungry, she said. Let him hear, got up from the lad's knees, the girl, and went towards the woman. Yeah, she left and came back a minute later with a baby in her arms. Sam watched all this action and thought he was too late. His beloved stranger was already married and had a child. He even got up and went into the kitchen so as not to disturb her feeding. After that, he stood and thought what to do now. Apparently, he really let the cab go for nothing. Naomi came out to him a few minutes later. She looked at the young man and smiled. You know what they say about coincidences not being random. She couldn't stop smiling. I don't get it. He stared at her. Today in this house, whatever sentence was a mystery to him. It's your son. She lowered her gaze. What do you mean? He furrowed his brow. Now the worst thoughts of the one he had idolized in his head for so long came to mind. Like this, she spread her hands. Then the girl knit him by the arm and led him to the table. There she sat him down, told him how and what, about her husband, about the meeting, how she had decided to take revenge. And that's how it turned out. If it wasn't for that story, she'd probably still be living with the guy who cheated on her. Why didn't you get tested? Sam asked her an elementary question. I worked in a school. It's a small town. I didn't need to explain further. Oh, you poor thing. Why did you leave so quickly? If I'd known your name, I would have found you by now. He hugged her again. Sam, what are we gonna do? She asked him that question, and then she pulled away. What are you doing? He didn't understand her again. I said we, although I don't know. Maybe it's a coincidence again today. She looked at him fearfully. What are you talking about? How many months I've been looking for you? My friends helped me. I know all the girls in the city by sight. He did not deceive her. Do you know how afraid I was of this disease that I still have not registered John? The girl confessed to him. That's great, but now he will have a normal middle name, smiled the young man. I'm afraid not if Evan hasn't divorced me. She lowered her gaze again. That's okay. Know that you'll be fine from now on. Sam pulled her close again. Have you been thinking about me? She couldn't believe that everything that was happening right now was true. You have no idea how. He wouldn't let her go. I couldn't stop thinking about you at first either. I've always been modest. I've never done anything like that. I've never even kissed in public, she confessed to him. Well, we were not in public. He remembered how she had an ice cream over her lip, which he wanted to remove, leaned over and kissed the girl. At that moment, Anna entered the house again. She looked at the young people and could not understand anything. Is your husband yours? She asked, pointing at Sam. No, but she looked up at him. I'll be there soon. He turned to his grandmother and smiled. Great. Get her out of this neck of the woods. The girl has talent and she buried it here. The woman stopped talking. Do you want something else? He realized that there was a continuation in this tirade. Will you accept her, son? Baba Anna let her eyes go. He's mine, Sam said calmly, not doubting it. What do you mean? The woman turned to Naomi. I'll tell you later, the girl promised, though she knew she never would. All right, stay. The grandmother waved her hand at them and left the house. Are you coming with me? He asked the girl. Where to? She wondered. To where I live, he said calmly. I don't know. She turned to the bed where her son was sleeping. Naomi, this can't be happening. I've been coming to this for so long. He snuggled into her shoulder. Okay, I promise to think about it, she said. Okay, I have a friend's wedding coming up. I ordered you a suit. That's the only reason I found you. In fact, you could say it was my mother who showed you to me. He sat back and smiled. Oh, it wasn't on purpose, she sighed. Of course, I just saw you. I decided to meet you by any means necessary. He pulled her to him again and hugged her. Sam, she just looked at him and couldn't believe that this was how life worked. Once again, the girl remembered all the books and movies she had ever read or watched, and it was all just there. Are you with me? He asked her the question again. Yes, she nodded. What did she have to lose? After all, she'd been through so much before. Now that she knew for sure she had no diagnosis, she could do anything. Then a couple days here and we'll go to my place. He was happy. I agree. By now she was already snuggling up to him herself. She had missed a strong male shoulder for so long. That's great. You can't imagine how happy my mom will be. They lay in bed in the evening. I'm a little embarrassed, she said it, but she remembered that night in the park. She didn't think about it then. Everything will work out. You will meet my friend, his future wife. We will be family friends, he said, and imagined how Alex will be surprised when he realizes that everything he said is true. The next day, Naomi told Sam that it was necessary to say goodbye to the neighbors. He didn't mind, even talked Maria's husband into going into town and shopping there. Everything was going great so far. You know I own this house, Naomi asked. How would I know that? He looked at her surprised. Well, you should know, she kissed the young man. It's good. We'll hire a crew. They'll do everything, and we'll have a cottage in the south. He hugged her. The most amazing thing began to happen next. When Sam took the plane tickets, Naomi realized that they were going to a city that was very close to where she was born and her mother lived. They got on the plane, flew. The girl was silent. They landed. John was nervous the whole way, probably because of his mother, because she had the same attitude. Let's go, we should be met. Sam looked to see where Alex's car was. They pulled up, loaded their things into the trunk, drove off. Almost the whole way Naomi was silent. She just didn't know what to say. But when they pulled into her hometown, she couldn't believe it. "Let's go to our place. The girls will get acquainted right away," Alex suggested. "No, I have to go home first," Naomi said. "My place?" Sam turned to her. "No, to your place," she smiled. "I don't get it." He was very surprised. "Sam, this is the town where I was born and lived until I left with my husband to where we met," she began to explain to him. "I mean, we've always lived in such close proximity," and he smiled. Apparently, she was happy. Alex drove them to the house where Naomi's mother lived. They got out with all their things there. "Are you with me?" She turned to him. "Of course, I have to see my future mother-in-law and meet her." He took the luggage and they went. When the mother opened the doors, she looked at her daughter and the young man. She was just in shock. "Mamia, I'm sorry I was gone so long." They entered the apartment. "Daughter." She hugged her and started kissing her. "Meet your grandson, John, and this is Sam." The girl looked at the woman. "Naomi." She couldn't help herself and cried. "It's okay." They passed. The woman kept the baby in her arms. She just couldn't believe that her daughter had lived alone somewhere, had given birth, and hadn't even told her about it. "I believe everything's gonna be okay now," the woman said. "All right, ladies, get ready. My mom's worried too," Sam told them. Yes, now, no one argued with him anymore. They got into a cab and drove to where the young man lived. When they got upstairs and a woman opened the door, for a few seconds everyone just stood there looking at each other. "Mom, are we just going to stand on the doorstep like this?" Sam asked her. "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm confused." The woman let them into the apartment. "Mommy, meet Naomi. This is Naomi, your future daughter-in-law. This is John, your grandson, and this is Naomi's mother." The young man introduced everyone. "How's that?" The landlady didn't understand. "Sometimes life is unpredictable and anything can happen," smiled the son. They all sat down at the table. When they started the conversation, it seemed it would never end. Sam's mother and Naomi stayed home. John was asleep, so they left him for a while too. And the young ones went to Alex and his fiancee's house. "Do you think your friends will accept me?" Naomi asked the young man. "Why shouldn't they accept you? You're with me and I'm the best friend." He didn't understand. "Well, things happen," she smiled at him. "Yes, I know that." He kissed her for the umpteenth time. They stopped at the entrance, got out of the car, thanked the cab driver. At that moment, Naomi saw a familiar figure. Nancy. She was happy to see her childhood friend on the bench. "Naomi, what are you doing here?" She was surprised too. "Here, meet Sam." "This is Sam. We're here to meet his friend," the girl said. "Nice to meet you, Nancy." The girl looked at him. "Okay, we're off," said Naomi. "I'm in this entryway too. Let's go together." Nancy didn't want to let them go. They entered, went up to the second floor. Sam went to the door. Nancy rushed there as well. "Are you going to this apartment too?" She looked surprised. "Yes," Sam nodded. "Naomi, it's Sveka who's getting married," Nancy announced excitedly. "It can't be." Turned to the young man. He was silent. They entered the apartment. On the threshold, they were met by the owner in an embrace with his future bride. "Casey." Naomi threw herself into her arms. "How was that possible?" Sam stood there looking at them. "What do you mean?" The girls didn't understand. "I've been looking for her for so long, and you were just there to tell me at least about my mom." Sam looked at Casey. "So you didn't even know her name?" Alex interrupted him. "That's right." The young man agreed with them. The young men all made their way into the room. They sat around the table and couldn't get enough of talking. "Nancy, will you mind if I make Naomi my witness?" Casey asked the girl. "Of course not. If he's the witness," she pointed to Sam, "I'll concede." That was the deal. They sat for a while longer and then separated. "I don't believe it's real," Naomi said. "Well, you can see that things have happened in your life." He wouldn't let her go, as if he was afraid of losing her again. "You're not letting me go to my mom's tonight," Naomi guessed. "I'm not letting you go anywhere else at all." He pulled her in and held her tight against him. They returned, the women still in the apartment where Sam lived. They told about the girlfriends. Naomi's mom was just shocked. And then the girl told about the cabin in the south. The moms immediately said that after the wedding they would go there and clean it up. "Are we having a wedding?" The girl smiled and looked at Sam. "If you don't mind, I'm all for it." He kissed her again and again. "I first need to know if I'm divorced or not." Naomi looked at her mother. Divorced, the papers came long ago, she confirmed. All right, I just have to register John, Naomi said sadly. Why so sad? Sam didn't understand. I don't know, it's just, she shrugged. After that, the young man pulled her into his room. There he told her about the apartment, but if her mother was going to leave, there was no hurry. Shall we just sign? Naomi asked. Are you okay with that? He was embarrassed. Only now he thought he could have come with a ring. Yes, she turned to him, wrapped her arms around him and pressed herself against him. You're my one and only love for life. That's how coincidences happen. Sam didn't believe in his happiness.